I have a question for you. What do you think of when I say innovation? What comes to mind? Is it drone delivery, electric cars, or self-driving cars? More than likely, you think of things with advanced technology, and that's not wrong. But what about something so simple as a spork?
Oh, cool, a spork!
Something about a spork?
So let's talk about the different forms of innovation and how this video will showcase how a few large retailers like Walmart, Target, and Costco can save millions of dollars with simple innovation. The other day I was looking at LinkedIn and I saw a post from someone that I had worked with 12 years ago. It just so happens that he now leads a private label program at Walmart. And in his post he lists out all of these goals and objectives that they're trying to achieve for sustainability within their private label product and packaging. He then asked the rest of us on the site to come up with proposals to help with our cause. And of course I thought to myself,
oh really? Well, challenge accepted.
Because it just so happens I am a leading expert in all things private label.
What expert?
The next step for me was to head over to Walmart and check out their shelves, and literally within 5 minutes I found a pretty obvious way for them to be sustainable and also save them millions of dollars. Well, let's take a moment to define innovation, and that is a new method, idea, or product. It doesn't need to be heavy in technology, but just a new take on an item or process. Some might also just call it improvement. There exists a common model for innovation with 4 quadrants with different types of innovation. There's this vertical axis to signify the impact to the market and a horizontal axis for technology newness. I'm going to speak to the underrated portion of incremental innovation that looks for gradual, continuous improvements on existing product. I say it's underrated because it goes probably the most unnoticed, but can sometimes have a tremendous impact. It's also something that every one of you can probably do in your current job. For the fun of it, I decided to look up a few TED Talks on innovation, and wow, were they boring. Each of them had anywhere from 10 to 15 steps on what you need to follow to be more innovative in the workplace. And that may be true if you're looking for radical or disruptive forms of innovation, but for incremental and sustaining innovation, it can be a lot more simple than that. It really comes down to understanding your processes and finding the weak points or points of failure that can be dramatically improved. I would bet that many of you have ideas that instantly come to mind where you can improve something at your job right now, but there may be something holding back your idea from seeing the light of day. I've worked for some great companies like Target and Amazon, and if I asked you which one was more open to innovation, you would probably say Amazon. But from my experience, Target was much more receptive to innovative thought than Amazon ever was. And yes, there is a reason for it. Now, something that I also do on the side is I do consultant work where I walk into a business and I try to outline areas for improvement and barriers that might be holding them back. But the reality is they didn't need me or my advice because 99% of the time, their associates already had all the answers. The inability to address these opportunities on their own comes down to the same issue almost every single time, and that is a lack of leadership engagement. Most often, the culture is not open and receptive to ideas from all levels of the associates, and the leadership owns the culture. So for all of you leaders out there that may be watching this, how exactly are you promoting a culture that encourages your associates to share their innovative thoughts? If you don't have a process or an expectation for your team to share their ideas openly, then you might be missing out. To underscore how simple changes can have major impacts, I'll go over a few innovative changes in the process that I've made that either saved millions of dollars or made the company I worked for millions of dollars. And after that, I will then explain how I'm going to save Walmart, Costco, and Target $10 million. In my first example, while I was working at Target, I had taken over the cheese dairy desk. Cheese! And when I first took it over, my predecessor had really done a horrible job at managing the financials.
You suck!
The entire category was down 10%, and that literally means millions of dollars in profit lost. I studied the financials for a day or two, and the problem seemed pretty obvious. The person before me had been placing all of the national brand product on temporary price cuts and ads every single week, which was causing all the customers to switch from high margin brands like private label over to the low margin brand like Kraft. The switching of brands week over week with price cuts also caused major swings in inventory, which forced us to have a lot more markdown. Markdowns cut in your margin pretty quickly. Not only that, but it was a huge resource suck on the store associates to set our price tags every single week. Not to mention that it costs about 9 cents a tag to put that on the shelf. The process of setting all of the product on temporary price cuts and advertise the name brands was the target model that everyone conformed to, until I decided to shake things up a little bit. I laid out a plan to the leadership team and they agreed to let me do away with the price cuts on all the cheese items and only advertise Kraft sparingly. Needless to say, this really pissed off Kraft. And they have a lot of reasons to be upset with me, seeing as I pretty much destroyed their cheese business. The overall result, it was a huge success, and the margins skyrocketed within weeks. It was so much of a success that they implemented the reduction temporary price cuts across the entire company. The result was a savings of millions of dollars and making the lives of the store associates a heck of a lot better. So if you like your clean shelves at Target, I just have one thing to say.
You're welcome.
My next example is going to be facial tissue. Also, while I was at Target. So one of the things I was tasked with was, how do we sell more of the private brand product? And the simple answer would be, well, just reduce the price. But here's the problem. If you reduce the price and people start to buy a lot more of it, then you're selling a lot more of a product that now has a lower margin. And you're not really selling more product. All you're doing is having them go from the national brand down to the private brand. So how do you take something so simple as a box of facial tissue and get people to buy more? Well, one of the things that we had working in our favor was Target has a designer, someone who's literally going to create the design for us. This is something that we can use to differentiate ourselves from all the other brands. So when I look at a box of facial tissue, I see a block. And what can you do with a block? What I did is I proposed putting letter blocks on each of the boxes, just like what you had as a child. What I had envisioned was that parents would be buying these and then spelling their names and putting in their room or somewhere in the house. And based on that, we knew that the average person's name has 5 letters in it. So my initial thought was people are going to buy these in quantities of 5 at a time. The unfortunate part was the buyer who bought them to put them in the store did not buy 5 times as much. They bought like 20% more. A program that's supposed to last 3 months only lasted 2 weeks because they all sold out. It didn't have to be massive. It didn't have to be grand. It was a simple little change that had tremendous outcome. It was so much of a success that Kimberly-Clark, the company that makes Kleenex and also the facial tissue for Target at the time, took our idea and then launched it in Europe. The problem was we found out. I guess that I'm flattered they stole our idea. Both of these examples were simple, innovative changes in process where the leadership team was receptive, and the result was impacting the entire company. I'm lucky where I have dozens of examples where I was able to impact the entire company that I'd worked for, and it was all due to 2 things. The first was that I made it a point to bring up innovative ideas to my leadership team on a regular basis. In fact, every time I had a weekly status with my boss, I would try to bring up an innovative idea, and usually it was something very simple like a process change or tweaking or changing something or something that I'd seen with other groups that could possibly be altered and changed to help the entire company. And the second was having receptive leaders willing to listen and take action from my ideas. Now, on to the fun part where I try to address Scott's challenge for sustainability. In front of me, I probably have 4 years worth of paper towels, and that says a lot considering I've got 2 children under the age of 6 that seem to think that their food can be used as artistic forms of expression. Seriously, my wife is not going to be happy when she sees all of these, and I don't know where I'm going to hide them all. There are literally 48 rolls of paper towels in front of me. We have paper towels from Costco, we have the national brand with Bounty, we have Walmart, and then we also have Target. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open each of them, and I'm going to show you what the packs look like on the inside. From there, I think you're going to realize what I'm talking about right away. For each of the paper towels that I had, they were all the same pack size of 12, but the linear feet was slightly different because some rolls are longer than others. We're going to start with Costco, and right out of the gate you're going to be able to see that they have a plastic wrap on every single one of them, and they have them printed, which is also more expensive. Completely unnecessary because the national brand right here doesn't have either of those things. I had a bit of an audio issue, so excuse my voiceover. This one is the Walmart paper towel, and as you can see, it has a plastic sleeve over each and every one of them. And with Target, you can see that they've wrapped them into groups of 6. And this surprises me quite a bit because when I was with Target 9 years ago, I actually implemented the plan to eliminate all of the plastic on these inner items. So this surprises me. Target, what changed in 9 years? Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh how much the packaging is on each of the outers, and then I'm going to measure how much is on each of the inners, and then give you a total for each of them. So stand by. I am all done, and the results were very surprising. Right out of the gate, we know that P&G's Bounty was the benchmark with only 38 grams for their total packaging. And I'll splash on the screen the complete results from all the other brands. Without going into each of the details, Costco was the worst offender with regards to being excessive in packaging. In fact, they had 74% more packaging than Bounty. And yes, Costco's rolls have 60% more sheets than Bounty, but the overall packaging isn't 60% larger. I'm going to take a second to talk about Costco's rule because it is massive and it doesn't need to be. Our household regrets it every time when we mistakenly pick up paper towels from Costco because they don't fit on most of our paper towel holders. We set the towel on the side, use it for a few weeks, and then when it's smaller in size, we can finally fit it on the paper towel holder. Costco, just make it a standard size and give it a fantastic retail. Given our inflation surge, nobody wants to drop $22 on paper towels, especially private label. Next, we had Walmart that had 65% more packaging than Bounty, and Target was at 59% more. Just using some back-of-the-napkin math, I estimate that the total from these three retailers could save 5.5 million pounds of plastic and $12 million a year simply by getting their footprint of their packaging similar to Bounty. Walmart alone stands to save 2.1 million pounds of plastic and $5 million a year with this simple little process change. Wait a minute, am I hearing myself correctly? Did I just say in under 5 minutes I found a way for them to save $5 million a year? Well, holy shiitake mushrooms taste fantastic in almost any pasta dish. You know what else is fantastic? Hitting that like button. Better yet, hit subscribe. Here's the point of this video. Innovation doesn't need to be some crazy new technology. Sometimes small changes in process to existing product can have profound results. Me personally, I have tons of creative ideas racing in my mind. In fact, I have a $1 billion idea that would work out great for a company like Target, Walmart, Costco, Macy's, or even a Kohl's. All they have to do is ask. So Mr. Scott, back to your original challenge on how Walmart can be more sustainable in their product and packaging. How is this for an answer? I guess there's only one thing left for me to say.
You're welcome.
My kids are going to eat it up. That's all that really matters.